So Scott, do you have anything else that you would like to add at this time about Vic Fangio? Do you think this is where do you think this defense ranks for next year?
Yeah, I was gonna make the I was gonna build off your connection with Bradley Chubb. So maybe that's maybe that was when they were doing the trade. Maybe that was in their thought process that maybe Vic was going to be available come the spring. Maybe because he was one of the best players on the Broncos. I was surprised that they traded him because he was like fourth overall pick when he was the coach or something. One of the years that they were really bad. So, but hey, I mean, they got Payton in the return, so now maybe it works for both of the teams. But I think they got a solid defense now. I think they got Bradley Chubb. I know they have some other Dolphins player that's names not coming to mind. You know, they have Byron Jones. They have that other cornerback that you were talking about. But yeah, they were in it every game, and this is one of their positions that they were just missing on that I think they cleared up, hopefully. We'll see next year.
Yeah, because I know last year we knew that the Broncos, we knew that there was some talent going in before Russell Wilson was even traded. Like, we knew there was talent for this team. A lot of the questions was more about the quarterback position. Like, we knew Drew Lock was definitely not going to be the answer. I mean, I know a few years ago in the 2019 season, I know you got Joe Flacco. That was the starting quarterback, and then he ended up getting injured and not playing the rest of the season. And so they had a couple different ones, like I think Brett Rippon was playing that year as well. So they had a couple different ones, like Trevor Simeon, I think was one of them. Before they got
they were always like a quarterback away, and their defense always looked good. So it was more of like a quarterback than their defense. Their defense is what held them in games, the games that they did win when he was the head coach. So maybe that's what was his selling point coming from the Broncos to the Dolphins.
Yeah. So I think this works out in a way. I think this will help the defense out for the Dolphins next year. I think they have a pretty solid season from last year, despite all those losses without Tua. And, I think they're still, they're a decent team. I think they'll even be a little bit better. They'll just make the playoffs next year. I think they'll be around there, and we'll see what happens.
Yep.
I'm sorry, just something popped up. So, I don't even know where it is. Okay, there it is. All right, good. So okay, that was just from the other. So guys, in case you didn't know, I apologize. We were cut off from the Zoom link a little bit from earlier. So that was part one. So this is part two. We're just finishing up on Vic Fangio. And I think we don't really have anything else to add unless Scott wants to add anything else. I'm all done adding anything in. Not really much to talk about here. So we'll go on to the next one. And then we're going to talk about this next one, which was a big, interesting hiring. In my opinion, I think is one of the more of the bigger highlights besides the Sean Payton hiring that kind of caught my eye a little bit, and we'll see how this one goes. So Kellen Moore, who was with the Cowboys, he was their play caller, their offensive coordinator for a long time, for a little bit with the Cowboys, and Mike McCarthy. He's going now to go with Brandon Staley, who a lot of Chargers fans want Brandon Staley fired. To now being their offensive play caller and their coordinator. So this is a good thing for the Chargers franchise to look forward to. I'll start off with me. In my personal opinion, with what he was able to do last year with the amount of mistakes, I don't know. I don't think it's a terrible signing. I think it's doable. It's manageable for this Chargers team. I know, the first 2 years of Justin Herbert's career were explosive offense. He was just unbelievable the last two, his first 2 seasons. Last year was kind of a bit of more of like a downfall, a little bit for Justin Herbert last year. Wasn't exactly his best season, perhaps, because he didn't have Brandon Staley, just wasn't really his kind of coach that he really needed. And, with all the injuries to Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, and then all those different, having to rely on like Joshua Palmer to make some really big plays there. And, the tight end, Gerald Everett also being injured too, a couple of games here and there. And then Austin Eckler, who was, basically it was the Austin Eckler show last year. And Justin Herbert a little bit having to push the ball down the field. But Herbert struggled a little bit last year with pushing the ball down the field, which is something we hadn't seen yet from his career. So him getting Kellen Moore as the play caller, maybe they'll, I think he had a couple of questionable play calling with the Cowboys last year. I'm not sure if I exactly loved all the offensive calls that he called last year. That cost him a couple of games. So I don't know. I mean, the Chargers need something. They're desperate. They want a Super Bowl. I think as a franchise, they want a Super Bowl. I think they're a good enough team to get to the playoffs, obviously, and they did that last year, or this season rather. But up 27-0, you can't let a team like that come back on you with being 27 up. You can't let that happen. So, and that's got a lot to do with offense, and that's got to do a lot with, their defense too. The defense struggled a lot last year, until the end of the season where they were playing defense of like what they were supposed to play all year. So they've got a lot of they got all the players. I think they have good talent on both sides of the ball. They need the right play callers. They need the right coaches at the right positions. So, and Brandon Staley, we'll see how he does in year 3. That's all I got to add on that. We'll see how he does in year 3, but I don't think it's going to be all that pretty for him. So what are you thinking about this, Scott? Do you think Kellen Moore is here to save the day for the Chargers, or do you think it's just another mediocre to below average signing? Like, what do you think about this?
I think when they mentioned it, they said this was a good hiring going from like Joe Lombardi, who ran a complex offense that I guess Herbert didn't really like. He had the name's escaping me, but he had one coach his rookie year, and then that coach got fired, and then he went to Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley had Joe Lombardi as his OC. So maybe now with Kellen Moore, he was there most of Dak's career. I want to say he was part of that 5,000-yard projected big, huge season that Dak was supposed to have before he blew out his knee in week 4 or week 5. I think, Kellen Moore was a former quarterback, so he knows what to call. I think his name's not flashy, but he's like secretly good at his job. So maybe him and Brandon Staley can get together. And they say before Brandon Staley became the coach, he was with the Rams, and he was, I think, the Rams defense coordinator, but he knows both defense and offense. So maybe this is like that missing key that they need. Last year was more about, Mike Williams was hurt in that playoff game. Mike Williams and Keenan Allen were off and on the field, like you said. So I think that having both these guys healthy and hopefully having Austin Eckler start in week 1 and not week 3 or 4. Not that it was a bad thing. He went out and did the same thing he did last year, but it just took longer to get off the track. Will really help this team. I think that they're, right there with the Chiefs. So I think that this will probably get them just a little bit closer. I think, like I said, they're on the cusp. So like we haven't seen true highlight from them. But if you go back to the Chiefs games, when the Chargers played the Chiefs, you were like, I think the Chargers were like Super Bowl favorite before the season. So like when they played the Chiefs, they were one of the only teams that kept the Chiefs close in both the games. I think they only lost by 3 points in both the games. So like now maybe when they face next year, those could be flipped for all we know. But they were close. They've been close to the Chiefs for like the past year or two. And Justin Herbert needs this kind of like offensive guru to make him an elite level passer, because he's right there and he's still so young.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't think this is I don't think this is definitely a terrible call by any mean. I mean, I think Kellen Moore can do what he can. I think he's going to step up on the offense for sure. I think now they're understanding that the Herbert situation here with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams last year was more of a fluke for them in some ways. But it's also a Charger thing that they normally do. Um, but at the same time, I just, I feel like they always have good talent. They always have something that they can step up to the plate and make something happen. Like when they do step up to the plate, like you said, when they play the Chiefs, they play them competitively. When they play the Broncos, it's always a competitive game, but it's always a close one. Or when they play like the Raiders, it's always like a back and forth kind of a game. Like if they can beat like Mahomes and they could beat like a team like Russell Wilson convincingly, because last year the way they beat Wilson was just based off of defense and how horrible the Broncos offense was last year. And then the way they can beat the Chargers and not, lose to them in Las Vegas. Like if they can prove like they can win like the big game and Justin Herbert can win like a big game, like if they can beat like a Cincinnati or they can go in there and they can beat whoever else is there, the Chiefs or the Bills. Like if Kellen Moore can come up with like some of those big games for this team, like a good play calling game for both of these for all these big time games that is looking pretty solid for Herbert on paper. This team could be the potential next, one of the best teams in the AFC. I really do. And I think this is something that, he can help them get a couple big wins. And then once the postseason does come, that's where he's going to have to really prove himself and say, I'm going to call a good game in these big time. Like I don't think he's going to let a 27 nothing lead happen to him. I don't think that's going to happen because when he was with the Cowboys, that didn't necessarily always happen, except for when they played the Jags last year and they were up by double digits there. So I think it's a decent signing. I think they have this is a decent signing for them. I don't think this is bad whatsoever. But my question is, how is the team going to respond to him? How's Justin Herbert going to respond to him? How is the organization? How's Brandon Staley going to respond to Kellen Moore? Like, is it going to be a positive energy in the room? Is it going to be more towards negative? Because we know Brandon Staley is the guy that likes to go on fourth down every single play, and he's the guy that likes defense, but he hasn't been able to prove that he can have his team play good defense against quality teams yet. So that's where most of my concerns are is about the signing, like nothing against Kellen Moore whatsoever and what he's done with the Cowboys in the past, but just thinking of it from like the outside perspective where others may not be thinking of it.
Yeah, I think it's a better hiring than getting some guy that we don't know about. At least Kellen Moore has some behind his ability. Like I said, he's not I think he's only been an OC for the Cowboys. I think he was there. He went from being their backup quarterback, I believe Dak's backup quarterback, to being their OC. I believe that's right. It might have been Romo, but he's definitely only ever been with the Cowboys. So, and he's good. A young coach is where the league is going as far as age is involved with signings. So it's a good signing that's not like anything flashy.
Yeah. No, I mean, we'll see how it goes. It might help them next year. I'm pretty sure this will be, I'm sure this is something that the Chargers will like. I think anybody that gets like a Cowboys representative, I think a lot of teams are always pretty happy with that. So we could see. We'll definitely see where it goes. I expect the Chargers to kind of be around where they were last year, maybe like a game or two better, depending on who they can get in the offseason. I think they don't really have a whole lot of holes, but it's just mostly the coaching staff that has to be and the organization that has to step up and prove that this is the best team that they've got and they're here to play. that's really what they've got to prove, and it's a proving game for all coaches and the organization itself.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything else you want to add to this?
No, I think we're pretty much done with Kellen.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. So we'll move on to the final topic for tonight. And this is something that I'm sure a lot of Brady haters, people who hate Tom Brady, I know a lot of people always like to pick on me because I like Tom Brady. I've always been a big Tom Brady fan, being a Giants fan. But this is the second time he's done it, guys, and where I don't know what to think about it. Yeah, Tom Brady finally retires after 23 years. We'll see if it's official, but he's retired from the NFL right now. We'll give it another 40 days and see if he'll come back, but just got to add a little bit of sense of humor for it. But I digress. But yeah, this is Tom Brady. He's retired after 23 years. He spent the first 20 with the New England Patriots. He won 6 Super Bowls there. The dynasty, Bill Belichick, Josh McDaniels, Tom Brady. That's like the dynasty everybody likes to talk about, but we also got to talk about the greatest players of all time that came out of there. Like Rob Gronkowski, of course, came out of that of New England, and then the years of when they had Randy Moss and Aaron Hernandez, and those players that's been in this time and was able to play that played under Tom Brady, and it's done a lot for him. And then Tom Brady, after leaving New England, everybody had a lot of questions of him going to Tampa Bay. At like age 42. I definitely did not have any doubts in him whatsoever. I knew he would be a really good team, that this would be a really good team. They would definitely be a playoff contending team, not knowing that, let alone he would have won a Super Bowl with them. But the greatest of all time, 7 Super Bowl wins, 5-time Super Bowl MVP. Worked under, coached under Josh McDaniels, Bill Belichick, worked under Bill O'Brien couple of times, for at least 1 year or two, and him having that infamous fight with Bill O'Brien, which was still to this day one of the funniest to ever see, like a coach and a player yell at each other the way that those two did. To go into someone like Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich, who's nowhere near a good of an offensive coordinator as McDaniels was for Brady, but to me, this is sad. Really sad that Tom Brady's retired. I don't know how I feel about it. I think with the I don't want to get too sappy about it, but without the NFL, without Tom Brady, I would have probably never been a football fanatic. If it wasn't for Tom Brady, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, those are like Big Ben. Those are like all the big players of like why I got into football in the first place, is because of a lot of respect that I've had for those. But Tom Brady was definitely got to be credited for that. It was, it's a sad day for everybody. This is basically the end of like, my childhood growing up with like all these good quarterbacks, Philip Rivers, Eli, Peyton, Big Ben, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers could be next. We'll see. And now Brady.
There was only Aaron Rodgers.
But we'll see if Aaron Rodgers does come back next year. He's either retiring or going to Green Bay. I don't know. We'll see. I could be wrong. And if I am wrong about Aaron Rodgers not coming back next year, I will admit it on camera and say, I apologize, everybody. Aaron Rodgers is back, but he'll either be with Green Bay, or if he does end up going to the Raiders, which, no offense, I highly doubt that. So Raiders fans, Aaron Rodgers fans, don't get yourselves hyped up about it. He's never leaving Green Bay. But no, I mean, this is definitely something that we're the NFL is definitely going to miss. Especially the officials are definitely going to miss this, because Tom Brady is a fighter. He's a guy that likes to win. Nobody ever expected like a 6th round quarterback in the year 2000 to ever win a Super Bowl, let alone turning out his career to win 7. And for some years, and I would say the last couple with New England, he basically won it himself without really any kind of like real help, because there was times where Gronkowski was out, had some injuries, and he had to win some games without him. And defense had to do their job too a little bit here and there. Knowing Bill Belichick is a defensive minded guy. So he's done a lot for his teams over the years. He's carried a lot of teams. I I would like to say that he carried Tampa Bay last year to 8 victories, and that I can't really say that for sure because he had a rougher season last year and whatnot, and it was because of all the off season and the the stuff that's going on in his personal life really got in the way of last year that prevented him from having a better year. But really Brady never really had, besides last year and the one year they didn't make the playoffs, he never really had a down year. Like everybody wanted to say that he had a down year. I don't think Tom Brady really ever had a down year in his whole NFL career. But this is something that the NFL is going to miss. The NFL is never going to look the same again without Tom Brady in it. Let's just be honest with you. Um, but it's sad. It's a tough day. It's a end of a childhood here, pretty much. So, Scott, put your feelings in it. What are you thinking of? What are you thinking about this? This is a tough one. This is emotional day for a lot of people. On February 1st, it was. What are you thinking about this retirement from Tom Brady, or if you think he might try to call it a hoax and try to come back?
Well, this just in, ladies and gentlemen, Tom Brady come out of retirement. No, I think last year was funny. I kid you not, man. I was like, all right, he's done. We don't have. Well, I think between the times he went from the Patriots to the Bucks, I became kind of like a small liker of Tom Brady because I hated him when he was with the Patriots because I hated the Patriots overall because of how much they won and how much like no other team got their shot at the Super Bowl. And several times they knocked out my Broncos and Peyton Manning from becoming a 4 or 5 time Super Bowl champion like he should have been. But I digress on that subject. Overall, I think that when he went to the Bucks, it was like it was year one. Was it year one that they won the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the first year he went there. They won the Super Bowl. Okay, yeah, because he was only with them he was with them for 3 years. Yeah, he won year one, and then the second year they came real close and ended up losing to the future Super Bowl champions in the Rams in the NFC divisional game. I think that was like a back and forth game, and it ended being like 35 to like 33 or something like that.
It was a 27-3 lead for the Rams, and Brady came marching back.
Yeah.
And with all those turns, they got the Bucks defense got 4 turnovers that game, and and then Stafford and Cooper Kupp, they were able to march the ball down the field, and they won it on a field goal, and that was in Tampa Bay, and that was a crazy game that that came down to the wire, and that was the same game that the Chiefs Bills played on that day too. So, yeah, no, he's played a lot of crazy games though, Brady, in his career.
Yeah, it was in Tampa Bay. I remember because the Rams were, I think, like the 5th seed or something like that, and Tampa Bay, I think, was like the 3rd seed or the 2nd seed or something like that. But anyways, and then he comes back. He does a retirement this year, about a year ago. I think it was shortly after that game because like he lost that game, and then within like 10 days or so, I think he retired. And then, we were watching the rest of the playoffs and the Super Bowl, and then, I think one day he was talking to like a famous golfer or like a famous soccer player or something like that. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm coming back." And I was like, dude, TV is like, football is the best show on TV. It's like basically reality TV at that point. And I was like, this is some good TV that Tom Brady's coming back. And so I'm like just expecting that for him to like show up come like draft night and just be like, screw the draft. I'm coming back. I'm still the best. It's like, I think I posted a meme of him in a press conference doing the Wolf of Wall Street quote where I'm not leaving, he says. But, he's had a long, long career. And he's been highly successful. Now we get to see how really Bill Belichick is going to be without him. I think it's year 3 now without him. I think they're going into year 3. Yeah. So I think now that he's gone, maybe Aaron Rodgers will take over as the best of all time, but you never know. I think he's got a shot at the booth now, but I think he should just like he's made so much money. It's just like, and you're like in your mid-40s, just like go enjoy your life now. Go take a one-way ticket to Thailand, like Cliff Kingsbury, and never come back. And just live it up. I think he had a great career, and I think that he gave the Bucs a Super Bowl, and now they're like one of the worst teams. Honestly, if we have a future podcast, it's like next year. It's going to be like there's 2 teams that haven't had a coach yet. The Colts and the Cardinals are still looking for their head coach. I think the Bucs and the Cardinals are going to be the 2 teams fighting for the first overall pick come 2024. You can stitch this right now and just like keep that in the back of your pocket, because I guarantee you that will be what it will be come February of next year.
That is a bit, well, not so much for the Cardinals, but for the Bucs, for you to say that, that's a big hot take, because I think there's still some talent on this team. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. We'll see if Leonard Fournette even comes back next year. I think Rachaad White is decent enough to kind of do what he can. I think he got involved well last year with the passing game when Brady really needed him the most. That's definitely a hot take, but it's something I would not be surprised about if they do end up losing that. Especially if they can't get a quarterback in time. Like if they this could be like a situation where they could get like someone that's going to be on the market soon, like a Derek Carr. This would make sense for like Derek Carr to go to Tampa Bay at this point now, or go to the Jets, or maybe this could be like an Aaron Rodgers team where he goes to and takes over the Bucs team, and playing under Todd Bowles, and having Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Like that would be like the best receiving duo he's had in in quite a while after Devontae Adams, because besides him, he hasn't really had like a standout receiver on his team in quite a while. So the Bucs, they still have some talent, but I think the quarterback taking away Tom Brady definitely hurts a lot for this team, and they're going to have to start really looking for a young guy to take over this team. And who knows, like I said, Derek Carr could be the next guy that could take over, or maybe they could look into, the free agency, or they could kind of look into drafting a quarterback this year. But I don't really think there's really any quarterbacks to be looking forward to in the draft this year. So I think they're, at this point, if you need a quarterback, I would go ahead and I would get Derek Carr.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Derek Carr would go there. I mean, if I were him, I'd rather go to the Jets.
Oh, I would too, absolutely.
A team that's like established. Like you said, the Bucs aren't like, you don't think they're going to fall off that much. I mean, Mike Evans I think he's going into his 11th or 12th year with the Bucs, and this is one of those teams, like their defense fell off a lot. I don't think they don't have Sue anymore. They don't have any of these other big names. So this is one of those teams that like could be in for like a fire sale, just like fire everybody and trade away everybody and just start over, because like after Brady, they hit the peak and now they're going to go down.
Yeah, no, I definitely think they're going to go down. I think definitely Brady definitely hurts. But I think there's still some talent in there to establish that they could win some couple of games here and there. And like I said, Derek Carr could be like a bridge quarterback for them. Like I said, I don't think Derek Carr is going to this team, but if I was the Bucs, I would definitely call up Derek Carr and say, "Hey, what are you up to? We need a quarterback. Would you like to come play here?" Like if I was the coaching staff, I was the GM, I would definitely be making calls around the league and looking for a quarterback to kind of win, because I don't think this franchise is ready to. I don't think this franchise is going to be ready to give up on the whole thing of them being, relevant. I think they kind of want to they're going to try and make this last as long as they possibly can. In a weak division, and especially now that Tom Brady is definitely not going to be there, they're going to struggle. But it definitely would not shock me, if either them, the Saints, the Panthers, or the Falcons, if they all try to fight for the division title for next year. It really wouldn't. I think the Panthers are better off. I think they're kind of heading in that right direction now. I think it starts with Frank Reich hiring him. And I think it's also, a kind of a year where we could see like the Bucks kind of repeat last year, be like 8-9, maybe at worst, I would think like maybe a 5-12 team or a 6-11 team, depending on who they get at quarterback. But if they don't get a quarterback in time by the time the season starts and preseason starts, like you said, they will be in some trouble. But I don't think they're going to be willing to give up that easily, knowing that there's still some talent left on this team, especially defensively, and what they can do and stop the run, because they have been able to stop the run for a long time now, and especially since Brady's been there, they've been the best run defense in the league.
Yeah, I believe they were like one of them or the best. I just forgot what I was going to say, but I really think that they're if they're not the first pick, they're probably picking in the top 10, if not the top 5 next year. Because I think they only have Kyle Trask on their contract, and we've never seen him take a snap in the regular season. So we have no idea how good he is.
No, and I don't think they're not going to allow him to take a snap, either him or I think Blaine Gabbert. He's even still there too.
Yeah, I was gonna say Blaine Gabbert, but I wasn't sure on him.
Yeah, no, I don't. No, that's why I'm saying if I was them, I would call up a quarterback right now and see what they can get in free agency or in a trade, because they're definitely not going to be able to do anything if they don't get a quarterback, which I think they're going to do that aggressively. But like I said, too, and I 100% agree with you, Derek Carr will likely go to the Jets, and that would make the most sense for him to go to the Jets. But I'm just saying, in like a perspective, if I'm a coach or a GM, I'm calling him up in a heartbeat, knowing that he's very likely going to be available and probably not even going to have to really pay him a whole lot, especially if the Raiders have to release him. But I saw somewhere today for the Raiders that he's expected to get paid $40 million.
Yeah, he has to. They have to release him by, I think it's February 12th or February 14th.
It's February. It's February 15th. So they have to trade him by February 15th. If not, then they got to pay him $40 million and have him in free agency. Which in the long run, that's what. If you're Derek Carr, I would hope I would get paid $40 million.
Yeah, but I mean that's going to be the next domino to fall. Like once if it's not this week, it's going to be right after Super Bowl. He's going to be the first guy to go to start the 2023 season.
Yeah, and likely he should, because he's been through it all for a long time. He's been there. He's a veteran quarterback, so someone is going to take him, and it's probably going to be the Jets. But who knows? Maybe the Bucks could also work out a deal with him too, and he might sign there too. But we'll see what happens. We'll see when that time comes. But like you said, as soon as the Super Bowl's over, all bets are off. It's going to be the off season, and everybody's going to be making deals with just about anybody that's going to be desperate for a lot of positions. So
I'll tell you what could be interesting. If Brady retires, doesn't come back to the Bucks, his old backup, Jimmy Garoppolo, comes to the Bucks and then brings him to glory. That would be funny. That would be something to watch.
Now, Jimmy Garoppolo will also probably he's not expected to come back next year in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Which they've said that before, and they never wanted to trade him because they knew they didn't trust Trey Lance. So I don't know. We'll see if Jimmy Garoppolo does stay there next year or if he goes somewhere else. But that's another quarterback that the Bucks could be looking into for next year too, having Jimmy G, because he's still a pretty decent quarterback that can get them a couple of wins.
Yeah. And I was saying before Tom Brady retired, I was like, man, Tom, if you don't want to come back to the Bucks, which didn't look like, because he was frustrated with that organizations, you should just go to the 49ers. They are like they don't have a stable quarterback. We've seen this last season. All 3 of their quarterbacks got hurt within the same season. So it's just like, dude, they've been there like every year, the last 3 or 4 years. You beat them in the Super Bowl the first time when the Rams went, or not the first time when the Rams went. They were beat. They got beat by the Chiefs. I'm sorry. Yeah, they got beat by the Chiefs, and then every year after that, they either lost in the divisionals or they lost in the championship. The 49ers are right there. So like if they had a stable quarterback, and Brady's like, oh, I never get hurt, so he should go. If he were going to retire, I would have thought that he would have went that route.
Yeah, and not for nothing, there was news articles that was saying that he was going to end up going there, but the Bucks ended up working a better deal with him, and they were already a quarterback away from being a playoff team. So that kind of made sense for him to go down to a team in Tampa Bay and doing that. So we'll see. Maybe Jimmy Garoppolo could be another stable quarterback that's going to come into free agency, and they can definitely sign him for sure, and they could probably pay him a decent buck too. But yeah, Tom Brady, we wish you the best of luck, man. I'm definitely gonna miss you. I don't know about Scott, but I'm definitely gonna miss you. You've done a lot over the years in the NFL. You've won a lot of games. You've had a lot of people been out of shape with you. You've had a lot of people doubt you, but I've never doubted you in any game. I'm a true football fanatic, been for a long time. And without you, I definitely probably wouldn't be doing this podcast right now. So thank you, Tom Brady. Good luck to you. I know you're not watching this, but you've done a lot. So thank you, and good luck. You're probably going to be on Fox analyst next year for Fox Sports because he signed that big contract with them. So that there's very likely that he'll be going with them and being an analyst for them. So that'll be cool to see.
Yeah, he could be one of those good quarterbacks that goes to the booth for all the hate that Tony Romo gets. Man, I love hearing that guy on the mic. He's just, with all his knowledge, he sounds like he knows a lot.
Oh yeah, he does. I love Tony Romo. He's one of my favorite commentators, if not my favorite commentator of all time. He really is, and I have a lot of respect for him, knowing that I hate the Cowboys, but he's awesome though. And with me calling wrestling matches and everything like that, I keep referring to myself as Tony Romo, the guy that doesn't win a lot on the field, but killing it in the booth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody, that concludes our podcast. Be on the lookout for some more podcasts down the road with Scott and I. If you guys like this, please drop a like on this video, leave a comment down below. Let us know what kind of content that you want us to cover for the next one. We're trying to do this weekly, usually Saturday or Sunday nights, because that's usually the best time for the both of us to kind of catch up and be able to do this. And also, if you can, just hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Anytime that new content comes out, you guys will be the first ones to be notified with it. And you guys will be the first ones to know, like, whenever I release new content, like this podcast video here, or when I go live. So thank you again, everybody. It means a lot. I hope you all have a great night. This is JP Football Fanatics saying peace, and we will see you all next time. From me, from Scott, peace out. Thank you.